Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. Both US and European markets have actually cooled off a bit, but no major crack as such, and despite this we see that European markets are near 4 months high and even US markets are near 3 months high, and there are no real major negative surprises, which is quite comforting for a lot of other markets. The only news that came out from Europe was that DBRS, which is a credit rating agency, has downgraded the outlook on some of the countries like Spain, Italy and Ireland, but there wasn't really much of effect on the 10-year bond yields as such. When we look at the Asian markets today morning, most of them are up about 0.5%, and the Singapore market is closed today. Friends, we continue to see very strong flows, which we have been pointing out earlier, and even yesterday the FIIs were net buyers in the cash market to the tune of almost 1114 crore, and the domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of about 795 crore, and FIIs were also buyers in the futures to the tune of 710 crore. Also friends, Brent crude continues to remain at a higher level of 112, which is definitely a matter of concern. But at the moment, since we are seeing very good strength in the global markets and the flow in the domestic market continues, that makes the overall bias for the market positive. On that note, I would invite Shaival to take us through the F&O cues and the possible ideas.
Friends, in yesterday's trade also we have seen that the FIs were net buyer of around by 1000 crore, and that has been supporting the markets on the lower side, and due to which we have been seeing that markets have ended with a marginal gain. In yesterday's trade, what we have seen is that the PCI ratio has again jumped up from 1.15 to 1.17 with a marginal increase in the implied volatility. That is indicating that yes, there would be certain uncertainty in the market for certain period of time, but the overall bias for the market is still positive. Now looking at the current matrix, we have seen that 5600 call option and 5700 call option on the higher side has seen a good activity, but 5400 call option stands with the highest number of shares in the open interest, which has been indicating that if this levels is taken off on the higher side with if this level is taken care on the higher side, then probably on the higher side one can play for the target of 5500 and 5550. On lower side, what we have seen is that 5300 and 5200 put option stands with the highest has seen a good activity in the open interest. So on the immediate basis, 5300 would act as a support for the market. Whereas if we have a look on the from the weekly perspective, 5250 is the VWAP. So what we feel is that 5250 on weekly basis would act as a good support for the market. Now, as the bias for the market is positive, we are trading above the straddle break-even point of 5305 of the current series. The bias remains positive, and we recommend to accumulate long positions with every dip in the market. Probably say if one finds an opportunity near 5300, 5280 levels, one can go long on that. From the intraday perspective, we are recommending buying of two stocks, that is Dr. Reddy's with support of 1643.30 and Divi's Laboratories with support of 1098.
Friends, coming to our markets, we had a good session overall yesterday. We started off on a very strong note, but it could not be sustained, and we saw a sharp cut from 5390 odd levels. But what we feel is that given the overall stable global markets and the fact that the flows continues to be very robust, if we see some kind of a consolidation around these levels, and if the previous high of about 5390 is crossed, then we could see a good amount of short covering. And yesterday we saw a good amount of action in the PSU stocks after the indications from the finance minister that he could take up the divestment for some of the PSU stocks, and also there are reports that the insurance companies may be allowed to invest up to 20% of the corpus into equity as against 10% now, has definitely helped the sentiment as far as the PSU stocks are concerned. Now coming to the stocks in the news today, we have a news that SEBI may introduce about 2% entry load to revive the mutual fund industry. As all of you would know that because of the abolition of this, the distribution network has got affected and the entire business of mutual fund has actually come down quite a bit. So if SEBI comes up with this kind of a step, then definitely it would be big positive for the mutual fund industry. Coupled with that, if insurance companies are also allowed to invest up to 20% in the equity market, that would also help the sentiment. So we are suggesting a go long call on Reliance Capital with a stop loss of 346 and a target of 362 to 366. A wholly owned subsidiary of HSCIL, which is dealing with the home interior solutions, would be investing about 250 crore for expanding the retail presence in the key markets. So one can go long HSIL with a stop loss of 129.5 and a target of about 135 to 136. Friends, over the last fortnight, we have seen that the cement prices have actually declined by 2%. From 310 rupees to about 304 rupees per bag because of the flooding in certain parts of the country. This could have a negative implications for Gujarat Ambuja. So one can short Ambuja cement with a stop loss of 197 and a target of 185 to 183. Also friends, negative news on the STC front, and CBI is investigating the possible role of some of the officials in a forex scam. So one can short STC with the stop loss of 294 and a target of 279 to 277. In case of Tata Steel, Moody's has downgraded the rating of Tata Steel, and also there are indications that the earnings for this quarter for Tata Steel may not be that encouraging. So one can short Tata Steel with a stop loss of 416 and a target of 396 to about 393. ONGC has given an indication that they are trying to expand into downstream sector and is close to striking a global alliance with a company which has expertise in the LNG value chain. We have seen ONGC remaining pretty strong over the past few months, and we believe that one can initiate a long call on ONGC with a stop loss of 276 and a target of 290 to 292. In case of McNally Bharat, there are reports that government might impose restrictions on the imports of used capital goods, which is positive for McNally Bharat. So one can go long with a stop loss of 92.5 and a target of about 98.5 to 99. That's it from all of us, friends, on the news front. Lastly, friends, some of the companies which are going to be announcing numbers today, the important ones we've already covered, what action one can take in the earnings strategy report. But just to give you a perspective, that in case of Tata Motors, the street is expecting a net profit of about 2,700 crore, but as per the market sources, the actual number could be much lower at about 2,000 to 2,200 crore. So there could be quick negative reaction for Tata Motors as such. Also friends, June IIP number is going to be out today, and the expectations are that it's going to be 1% versus 2.4% last month. But since we are seeing a lot of volatility in the IIP numbers, the market is not really reacting too much onto this one. So I think the focus of the market would be more on the earnings and what really happens to the global markets. With that, we wrap up this session. See you tomorrow at the same time.